Warumono-san is an ugly freak with an unhealthy obsession with pandas. However, in reality, he is an SS rank agent of an evil organization planning to wipe off Earth. Warumono is a unique kind of villain who's extremely cautious about his days off from work. One such day, Warumono visits a Japanese zoo and joins the line to observe the pandas. He claims that his off days start with a great meal, and he loves to treat himself by visiting the cute pandas of the zoo. They are his source of happiness, and he begins taking numerous pictures of them. Later on, he begins taking a walk and says that he wishes to get as far away from his work as possible. He doesn't want to get involved with any of his coworkers, and if he's unlucky enough to bump into one, he'll excuse himself with the grace of a shooting star. Warumono also doesn't want to bump into anyone from the Power Rangers, the counterpart organization of the Evil League made up of powerful humans. Much to his surprise, a ranger named Red spots Warumono, saying that he can sense villainous energy from him. Red challenges him to a battle, but Warumono shocks him by proposing a truce for the day because he doesn't want to disturb the cute pandas. Red also admits his love for the little creatures, and Warumono notices aquarium tickets in his hands. He realizes that Red must have visited the zoo by mistake, and his assumption proves to be correct when Red asks him for directions. Warumono drops him at the train station and leaves. Later on, he enters a convenience store to buy a coffee drink and some cup noodles. Unfortunately, disaster strikes when he fails to find the sweet red potato soft in the ice cream section. Instead, it's revealed that the ice cream has been replaced by the strawberry mochi bar. Warumono is furious, and the shop attendant notices the annoyance on his face. Nevertheless, he picks up the mochi bar and promises to eliminate the humans if it tastes bad. The shop attendant assures him it'll taste good and advises him to eat the ice cream in a warm room. Later on, the strawberry mochi bar turns out to be delicious, so Warumono decides to spare the convenience store when they eliminate the humans. On his next day off, he visits a shopping mall and unexpectedly runs into Muji and Sora, children who begin calling him Mr. Stranger who's not with their daddy. They force him to buy ice cream cones for them, and afterwards, he takes them to the Lost Children's Center. After helping the children, Warumono leaves, but the tone of the children suddenly changes. It's revealed that the twins are from Power Rangers, and they meet Red. They also express that Warumono isn't as evil as their organization portrays him to be. On the other hand, the great Warumono is busy with a pop-up panda fair as he prepares to buy all the different types of merch available. At the Evil League headquarters, a fresh recruit arrives, filled with excitement at being deployed to Earth to serve the League. Delighted to be assigned to Warumono's unit, he refrains from mentioning the name of their superior, instead respectfully referring to him as the General due to his formidable strength. Meanwhile, Warumono is busy in his duties when a colleague interrupts, extending an invitation to join him for lunch at the cafeteria. Warumono, preoccupied and somewhat annoyed, dismisses the offer, citing his busy schedule. Despite his irritation at missing the unveiling of a baby panda at the zoo, he finds comfort in a cute picture of the panda, which helps to alleviate his frustration. Later, Warumono enters the group office and notices the newcomer is still hard at work, even though his shift should have ended. Impressed by the rookie's dedication, Warumono initially intends to dismiss him, but is surprised when the recruit expresses his determination to complete as much work as possible. Warumono's intimidating aura prompts the rookie to apologize for his perceived slowness. Upon reviewing the paperwork, the general discerns that most of the tasks are not urgent, indicating a prolonged conflict. He advises the newcomer to prioritize self-care, warning against burnout. Reminding him of their day off, Warumono encourages the rookie to make the most of it. As the boss departs, the newcomer is stunned by the interaction and decides to research the best ways to spend his day off. Opting to visit the zoo, he is captivated by the pandas. The following day, he excitedly informs the general of his zoo visit, inspired by their conversation. Presenting the boss with panda-shaped chocolates as a token of gratitude, the rookie is praised for his initiative. Overwhelmed with joy, he excuses himself and melts in the recognition outside. One evening, exhausted from work, he fantasizes about the idea of having a pet panda waiting for him at home, envisioning a future where pandas coexist with them after humanity's demise. He imagines engaging in various activities with the pandas, including gaming, which he admits is a bit far-fetched. Awakening the next morning still lying on the floor, he feels a renewed determination to eradicate humanity, inspired by his vision of a world filled with pandas. Later, he visits the zoo upon hearing that, according to popular belief, pandas have white tails. However, he harbors doubts because the creature's ears and limbs are black, prompting him to verify. Using this as an excuse, Warumono purchases an annual pass for the zoo, refusing to accept the tail's color until he sees it for himself. He waits patiently at the zoo alongside another visitor for 3 hours until they finally catch a glimpse of the elusive white-tailed panda, confirming the consensus. The two share a fist bump, acknowledging their patience in waiting for so long. Later, Warumono encounters the same kid at the petting zoo section, where the youngster teaches him how to properly handle the rabbits. The boy reveals his dream of becoming a vet one day, inspiring him. Back at work the next day, the newcomer passes by the general's office and assumes the intense look on his face indicates plans for wiping out humanity. However, Warumono is actually thinking how to convince the League to allow rabbits at the office. On another day off, he encounters Red while heading home from the shop. The ranger attempts to provoke a fight, but Warumono refuses, explaining that he's holding eggs to prepare a dish. Later, he returns with an umbrella and a coat for Red, also providing directions back to the train station. The surprised hero realizes the general still doesn't want to fight, while Warumono walks away, determined to avoid any trouble on his precious day off. Warumono wakes up from a restful sleep, grumbling about the cold room. Despite his reluctance to leave his warm blanket, he knows he can't waste his precious day off in bed. With determination, he reaches for the remote to heat up the room, shivering awkwardly in the process. Eventually, he grabs his phone and starts watching a show about baby pandas, finding happiness in their adorable play. However, his peace is interrupted by a call from Rooney, the coworker he's been avoiding. Frustrated by Rooney's persistence, Warumono rejects the call, only to be bombarded by more attempts. He finally answers, warning Rooney not to test his patience on his day off. Rooney reveals urgent news about an earth monster, catching Warumono's attention. Rooney explains that the monster lures people in with warmth before devouring them, and he himself fell victim to it. Shocked by the seriousness of the situation, Warumono demands more information and rushes to the headquarters, grabbing a box of mandarin oranges on the way. Arriving at the control room, he bursts in, ready to confront the threat and rescue Rooney from danger. Warumono is taken aback to find Rooney sitting comfortably under a kotatsu, surrounded by warmth. Before he knows it, Warumono finds himself inside the belly of the beast, feeding it oranges as Rooney looks on. The next morning, the general wakes up with a craving for Chinese buns. He heads to the chicken and diligently follows the instructions for preparing them, making sure to dampen the bun before wrapping it on a plate. Setting the microwave for 1 minute, he takes a moment to stretch as it heats up. When the timer rings, he eagerly opens the microwave door, only to be met with disappointment as he finds the bun completely flattened. Meanwhile, at Ranger's HQ, Red faces a similar predicament with his meat bun. Like the general, he falls to the floor in despair. Mugi explains that his mistake was wrapping it too tightly, creating a vacuum that flattened the bun. Sora empathizes with the poor bun, lamenting that it wanted to be eaten in its original fluffy form but ended up as a mere pancake. Her words strike a chord with Red, who breaks down in tears. Blue intervenes to defend Red, warning the others to stop picking on him. An exhausted salaryman trudges into the convenience store, lamenting his recent entry into the workforce and the harsh reality it entails. He had initially been excited about the freedom of living on his own, envisioning late nights out with coworkers, hitting the gym regularly, and exploring fun places on his days off. However, the demands of his job have left him with little energy for such activities, forcing him to spend his precious days off doing laundry to ensure he has clean shorts. Curious about the disappearance of the Chinese buns, he inquires with the attendant, who explains that the promotion period has ended and they were taken down. Surprised by the visible disappointment on the usually intimidating man's face, the attendant apologizes, knowing it was his favorite after-work treat. This revelation strikes a chord with the salaryman. Realizing he's not alone in this routine of stopping by the convenience store after work. The general, having visited earlier, had shared with the attendant that treating himself at the convenience store was his way of rewarding himself for a hard day's work. Encouraged by his perspective, the salaryman decides to adopt a similar mindset, focusing on celebrating his efforts rather than dwelling on the negatives. He leaves the store with a newfound sense of contentment after indulging in some pudding, and on subsequent visits, he follows the general's lead by trying out the recommended items, including cherry blossom-flavored tea. One night, Warumono finds himself in a fierce battle with the Red Ranger during a field operation, skillfully dodging the hero's punches and emerging victorious. He survives the encounter, relieved that the following day is his much-anticipated day off, reserved for enjoying the cherry blossoms. However, upon arriving at the location, he discovers that the flowers have already fallen, dampening his spirits. To make matters worse, he had packed a lunch after hearing from a news report that a picnic is the ideal way to experience the cherry blossoms. Spotting a young girl collecting petals under one of the trees, Warumono is momentarily taken aback when she reaches for his food. Despite his initial hesitation, he reluctantly offers her one of the rice cakes, realizing that she's hungry. As she eagerly devours the food, he can't help but feel disheartened by the state of humanity. However, his mood shifts when the girl asks if he came to see the blossoms. Pouring her a cup of tea, Warumono sadly admits that he arrived too late. Yet, to his surprise, the girl performs a magical gesture, causing the fallen petals to return to the tree. Enchanted by the beauty of the moment, Warumono expresses his admiration, only to discover that the girl has vanished, leaving behind a pile of petals. Though he returns to the tree multiple times with packed lunches in hand, hoping to encounter the girl again, she never reappears. Undeterred, he resolves to return the following year when the cherry blossoms bloom once more. When will Warumono annihilate humanity to take over the Earth? Will his obsession with Panda ever end? Find out in the next episode, and please subscribe to the channel for more plot-filled recaps.